Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the United States of America. And of course, good morning to the entire world receiving our signals via the magic of the internet, formerly known as ARPANET, created by whom? We, the people, now controlled by the billionaires. Folks, it is time for us to look in the mirror and say, we are the solution to all of our problems, working together as one society. Anyhow, without further ado, we'll move on to the geniuses in the studio. El estudio con el señor Howard Reynolds and Jack Ben Beba.
And good morning, Egberto. It is Friday morning at the radio, the 11th of April, and tomorrow will be April 12th. Let's hope the Simpsons are not wrong. And we'll start off with that. They say they've never been wrong. Let's hope they are not wrong.
You are going to get us in trouble, Howard.
I didn't say anything.
All right.
Name is April. The Simpsons have never been wrong. I just mentioned Simpsons and not being wrong.
Okay.
So make of that what you wish.
Yes, sir.
Didn't have much to fight with MAGAs yesterday on Facebook, but I did encounter one comment this morning. The article was about ICE getting more money, and I said, well, perhaps they can learn to arrest the right people. You know, as you know, that poor soul is down there in the El Salvador prison who was protected under a judge's order. They arrested him and put him there anyway. So I'm just wondering how that's going to play out. The Supreme Court said yesterday, bring him back home.
9-0. Wow.
9-0. Going against the Trump administration. Good, because they're going to have to start doing that a lot. He's going to keep the Supreme Court really, really busy. So they may as well just go ahead and cancel the rest of their docket for the year and say we're going to be taking care of Trump matters. So anyway, I tell you. My comment back was, he's the guy says, well, if they were in the country illegally, they don't have any rights. Look at the Constitution. They do. They have a right to due process. Anyone accused of a crime, citizen or not, the Constitution does not specify. You have a right to due process to make your case. So there you go. Jack, you got a whole page of wisdom here.
Yeah. Good morning, Egberto. How are you?
Good morning, my dear brother Jack. I'm fine. Talk to me. I can't wait for the wisdom.
Yeah, it's on your post this morning for the most part. All right, America is experiencing a world crisis of confidence. Yes. Stephanie Ruhle says Trump's trade war rhetoric, authoritarian behavior, and disregard for the truth are causing a crisis of confidence in our economy and our leadership. With the stock market and the bond market following, PDR host Egberto Willies highlights how investors are losing trust in U.S. leadership, exposing the flaws in our economic model and our constitutional system. Trump's plan seems to be bankrupt the economy, send the people who depend on social services packing, destroy government functioning to the point nothing gets done, and drop and break America into 1,000 pieces like a piggy bank dropped and shattered on the floor. Take the money and leave the people suffering in another Great Depression.
Jack, I saw a cartoon yesterday where Trump's sitting on the edge of a cliff with a globe behind him, and he ripped off America, and it's being thrown over the cliff. It says America First. Now I totally understand what his America First is all about.
Oh man, that's a rough one. But yeah. Anyway, folks, we are going to have a great show and great start by El Senor Jack Van Beber and Howard Reynolds, of course, of trying to get us in trouble. But we love Howard. We'll be there to support the brother. Absolutely so. But hey, folks, look. First of all, I want to say a big, big, big good morning to. I started up a little late with my Substack feed, but I got it. I still don't get the whole thing, but I think I see here that says, "Good morning. A bit of snow won't keep me away." And I'm trying to see who that is from, but it's not clear who that little message is from. But if you leave another message, it'll scroll up. Again, like I said, the application from Substack isn't the best. I want to say a big hello to Gayla Kunis. Says, "Good morning from Evans, Georgia." I want to say Cheryl Atkins. She says, "We are worried he may not be alive." I want to say welcome aboard as well, Cheryl Handenberg, Jill Roeder, Christine Hay, all of you guys on Substack thus far. And there are quite a few that kind of scroll across. So if I don't get to it quick enough, you know what happens. Anyway, and likewise in our main chat, we've got Jackie Kemfiji from Katy, Texas. Good morning. How you doing? Beautiful. All right, we are going to get busy with the program, and this is what I consider an important program. Last night, I started preparing for a whole lot of this stuff late. I was out there doing some work with some of our folks at Pantex. It's a Panamanian organizations we have that put on educational programs and have things in the park and all of that to kind of share some of our Caribbean, Latin American culture out there. So I spent about 3 hours out there, and it was like, oh my God, I guess I'm going to be going to sleep late now because I still have to go ahead and finish our KPFT stuff. So, Jack, you actually got, I think, 2 emails right after the other. I accidentally set the timer incorrectly. That's what Like a Sleep will do for you. But anyway, here's the deal. So folks who got a dupleta, a double newsletter, one for the show and one on Stephanie Ruhle's comments. Sorry about that. Please don't hold it too badly against me for thinking it's spam. It's not spam. It was just timed incorrectly. All right. Here's the thing. I got home in time to watch Stephanie Ruhle. And, she's a happy-go-lucky kind of a lady, but very, very smart in America's economic system. Very smart in America's economic system. And I like the idea of looking at people's faces as they're saying certain things, because you can read a lot of what people are thinking without saying by reading their face. And I saw a kind of worry on her face last night. And like I said, she knows the economic system. She's been in touch with Bloomberg and all these other people that form a part of our big economic system. And by the way, by me saying this doesn't remove what I believe about this system. I think it's provably a fraud that Donald Trump can say a word and it moves around. But again, it is the system that we have, right? And I could see the fear in her face and the words that she used and what she had to say. And I tell you, it was very, very concerning to me. And so I decided to start writing this piece that I released a bit too early this morning. And what I want to do is I think I'm going to play that first. Well, it looked like we have a call from Harry. So before I play that, I'm going to take Harry's call, and then I'm going to play the piece because I worked on it quite a bit last night. Come on in, Brother Harry.
Good morning, Brother Egberto, Felice Verdes. I'm looking forward to your piece. Well, I just been, listening the last few days, but I also enjoyed listening to the 3:00 show yesterday. And I enjoyed your piece with Joe Scarborough, the way he was talking about the MAGAs, and he just sang a lot of these people who voted for Trump. This is not what they voted for. Most of them, realize that, and they're, Trump is throwing them under the bus. But what I mainly called about is I've been hearing this caller, Lester, he called Michael Woodson show, and he's attacking Johnny, he's attacking people like me. He's up there talking about give Donald Trump a chance. And I also enjoyed, before I get into that, amen to Jack's wisdom and amen to Howard. How can you give a guy a chance who is breaking the laws and deporting people without due process of law?
Let me interrupt you a second. Let me interrupt you. I want to interrupt you a second. I want to interrupt you a second. And sorry for this, but I know who you're talking about. I think he calls our show as well, and he does want us to give.
Michael,
yeah, he wants to give Trump a chance. He called the show a couple of times here as well, and I understand the brother. Yeah. I understand where he's coming from. The thing about it is, depending on the news channels that you listen to, you don't see how devastating what Donald Trump is really doing because of the spin. So I have empathy to what he has to say, but the reality is, it would be morally indefensible for us to sit back and just let Donald Trump operate. It means harming people you love, and we can't do that. So I respect our brother who comes on the air and says, give the man a chance. This is not a normal, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. This is actually the incarnation of evil. This is the incarnation of the destruction of people, and we can't tolerate that. So I'm with you with that, Harry. And by the way, Harry, I need to get to the thing started, and I want to tell you, I hope Alan is doing fine, your brother. Give him my regards. Okay?
He's lost a lot of weight, and he's doing much better. But
all right,
this guy,
I love brother. I gotta. Hey, I love your brother. I love you. I gotta go though because we gotta get the show going. We can talk about this in an email or something, brother. But love you. Gotta go. Tell your brother Alan I say hi. Okay. Take care. All right, brother. Peace. All right, folks. I want to play this and then we'll move on from thereafter. Let's see. I think I have it all queued up. There we go. Stephanie Ruhle gave a commentary tonight on her show that is bear repeating on the 11th hour. And this commentary shouldn't really stand alone. But let me start this way. Donald Trump came into office with an economy that was described by The Economist, the Wall Street Journal, and many others as the envy of the world. Donald Trump consistently spoke about, Biden destroyed the economy, all that kind of stuff. It was all a lie. It has always been a lie. Donald Trump handed Biden an economy in crisis. He mismanaged COVID. He exploded the deficit. He gave a tax cut to rich people, further making the income inequality and wealth disparity worse. That's what he did. He got an economy in great shape. And in less than 3 months, he has put the United States economy in turmoil. And it's not a partisan thing. Because if it were a partisan thing, as he threw up these tariffs and the stock market fell, if it was just a partisan thing and something that was 6 of one, half dozen of the other, the bond market would not start falling as well because people leaving the stock market would be looking for security in money, the bonds. But they're dumping American dollars, they're dumping bonds just as much as they're dumping stocks, which means a complete crisis in confidence in the United States. That's what it means. This has never happened to this extent in our modern history. In other words, we have always been the bastion of economics because our economy just about runs the world. 4% of the people in the world pretty much have the lion's share of economic activity and economic, the people who run the economic system, the nervous system of our world's economy. But all of that, Donald Trump destroyed in under 3 months. And the rest of the world's noticing it. And the thing about it is, how can you recover from that? How can you recover from that, right? We could have once said that it was an aberration that Donald Trump got elected the first time. Okay, we understood. Every country is due a mistake. But a consecutive mistake, again, that is enough to send other countries with long-term plans of eventually leaving as soon as they build their own life support system. But Donald Trump didn't only show that he could destroy an economy all by his lonesome, all by himself quickly. He also showed the defects within the Constitution. He showed the defects of what an electoral college is. He showed the defect of the executive controlling the Justice Department and how then a Justice Department, if the president so chooses, can decide not to enforce the law. It shows the flawed design of the Constitution in the judiciary. It exposed so much. And what it also says is that we must give kudos to every president that preceded Donald Trump, as well as Biden. Because none of these other presidents used the defects of the economic system, an economic system that one person could cause it to crash, and a constitution that is so fragile that a person as inept, someone many refer to as a moron, could cause so much damage. I want you to listen to what Stephanie Ruhle had to say here, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Here's what I want to say. It has been over a week since this trade disaster began, and I have spent that week speaking to investors here and abroad. And what I feel most tonight is scared. Scared that what we are facing is a crisis of confidence. Confidence in us, the United States of America. And what I have not heard from any of the people that I speak to is exactly what might restore that confidence in the United States, at least not right now. Yes, the markets rallied yesterday, but that is only because we avoided the 50+% tariffs across the globe. But the reality has set in today because we still have the rest of these tariffs, and the markets continue to sink, both the bond and stock market, in part because the basis by which we're negotiating trade is not rooted in truth. And for those who believe countries are scrambling to make a deal because they were so panicked about the enormous tariffs and now they're much lower, my question is, what is that deal? What do you think the likes of Vietnam can do to erase our trade deficit? You know what the answer is? They can't. And if you want to onshore all of our manufacturing, if you want to do that, what Peter Navarro talked about, what Howard Lutnick talked about, you want to do that? It'll take trillions of dollars and 20 years to reconfigure the global supply chain and bring it all home. And for our allies in the West, those developed countries, they are certainly not rushing to partner back up with us. Not with a U.S. president who goes on national TV laughing, saying they're all kissing my ass. It is safe to say that the perch we and our American exceptionalism sat on, even a few months ago, has certainly been lowered. We've got an agriculture secretary who tells us, build a chicken coop in your backyard because eggs are expensive. We have a defense secretary sharing military secrets in a group chat. We are potentially lawlessly firing thousands of federal workers and defunding science while we buy crypto. We have lost an enormous amount of credibility and trust. But what scares me is that every investor I speak to, even some who support this president, has given me the same message. If the bond market continues to drop and drop and drop, you know where it goes? It bankrupts the country. Something Donald Trump knows a lot about.
So yes, she has reason to be scared. The rest of the world has reason to be scared. Imagine an economic system that can be tanked by a flawed president, making, just simply saying, I'm going to throw tariffs on and just using the using his wordiology. And that is enough to tank a world's economy. What a flawed economic system. Something we talk about all along. So for all of those who are going to contact us later on and talk about the virtues of this system, the virtues of this type of capitalism, the virtues of our Constitution, it has never been the virtues of our economic system. It has never been the virtues of our Constitution. It has been that men and women good enough to not exploit its flaws had been elected to office and had, no matter how bad many of us thought they were, never went as far as putting our country and the world in danger. It wasn't these pieces of flawed documents. It wasn't a flawed economic system, capitalism, that saved us. It was simply good people. And once you get someone that's not good, once you get evil into that institution of leadership, all the flaws of the documents and the economic system just pour out. I tell you what, I hope after we rid ourselves of Donald Trump, that we will seriously consider fixing the flaws not only in the Constitution, but the flaws in an economic system where no one person can do what Donald Trump has done. And that is tank an economy from just the force of one person. A world made up of billions of people and a measly, infantile moron could actually potentially tank the world's economy. Shame on us. I mean that it is shame on us that we stand by and all these pros stand by and cower to this thing, doing this to our economic system, to this thing, doing stuff to us and replicating themselves with a cast of morons himself. Build a chicken. When we talk about nonsense, let me just give an example how silly to build a chicken coop thing is, right? Oh, the price of eggs are high. Why? Because we had an influx of bird flu. How did that influx of bird flu come together? Well, I spoke to a guy, a friend of a friend, who raises eggs. He raises eggs for chickens too, and he sells these to hatcheries. And we went out one Saturday to celebrate this friend's birthday. And I asked him, how are you going to protect yourself from this bird flu thing? He says, you know what? Most of my workers are immigrants, and I simply tell them one thing. I simply tell them, if you lose this job, you're out of the country. These are the scientific ways to prevent bird flu from infesting our coops, meaning these great industrial coops. You have to follow the protocol to make sure nothing external nothing on this disinfected externally gets into the coop. Then if nothing gets in, of course, the coop will stay clean. And they all follow the rules. And he has one massive coop somewhere out there I think it's out there in either Livingston or Conroe area, and it is clean. He hasn't had any problems. Now we have this another, and sorry for the words, but I am so upset that our leadership is so infantile, imbecilic, and moronic. But telling folks just get a coup. And you're right, Jacqueline. Most HOAs won't allow it. But here's the other thing. Why is it that we found a lot of birds in New York in the field with, I think in some field out there with bird flu, all dropped dead, etc. If you go tell Americans to put all these coops all around the city, and you have flying birds going from the top of the country down to the bottom, and they're releasing their waste, and the waste is contaminated and it drops in your backyard, and you are not the type of person that follows this kind of hygiene that my friend has to follow as a commercial breeder. Think about this. Now you're talking about having all these individuals raising all these animals without restrictions, without regulations to protect themselves and others. And we have a more massive explosion of the disease because we're not doing any of this in a scientific manner. I mean, there is so much to that. But anyhow, welcome, Joe, from California, Los Angeles, California. Welcome, Eric Hayes from Kingwood, Atascocita. Welcome, Jay Ray, my brother from Houston, Texas. And Uju M is in the house. He says, it's the corruption and loopholes that have been embedded in the system. One silver lining is that everyone now sees the imbecility of American exceptionalism. It's amazing, right, Uju? It is amazing what it takes sometimes. But anyway, folks, the telephone number is 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. I have some more to discuss on this, but I see that Bard is on the line. Brother Bard, come on in.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
America's decline is over. This fake news that you're peddling is not going to work. Donald Trump got 312 electoral college votes, and he would have had more if certain states hadn't been allowing certain people to vote. But this China will correct itself. They've been taking advantage of us for years. And you're playing this fake news from CNN on your show. Nobody watches it on TV. We don't want to hear it on your show.
Is that all the evidence and fact-based information you have for me, sir?
No, I 312 votes. You can't dispute that. You keep saying Kamala won.
I have never said Kamala won. I've always said Kamala lost the race, but I don't think you have anything to really provide us because you're just talking from emotion. So you have a wonderful day, Bard. When you have something factual to say, please go ahead and bring it. Thank you, brother. Let's go to Brother Bruce.
Good morning. Good morning, Egberto.
Good morning, sir. Talk to me.
Morning. Yes, we all know the universe is entropic. You know, if you knock a glass of milk over, it shatters. There's no way the piece is going to come back together and the milk's going to go back in and jump back on the table. Donald Trump seems to think that if he takes a wrecking ball to our democracy, our institutions, our science, our minorities, that somehow, if he keeps telling MAGA, just wait, that somehow it's all going to come back together and be 1950 again with manufacturing everywhere, minorities knowing their place or disappearing, disease wiping out the poor to leave more money for everybody else. And it ain't going to happen. All right. The universe is entropic. That's all I got. I just seeing him do that just tears my soul.
Look, Bruce, thank you for that, and thank you for your wisdom, my brother. Thank you. Now, I made Bard go on and say I was really hoping that he would have some numerical fact or something to let me know. Let me just let you know that the bond market.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure, go ahead.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. You know, when Trump ran for president the first time, he kept saying, he used psychology. He kept saying crooked Hillary, never said Hillary. Lying, whatever. We need to do the same tactic. Every time we speak, we need to bring up the 25th Amendment until it starts setting in people's mind and setting into the MAGA's mind that it's a possibility. Because I think that's one alternative we're going to have to use. And I don't want to go back to a society where the TV shows are Leave It to Beaver and Ozzie and Harriet and minorities disappear. I mean, Trump's full of it. I'm done.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. And it has always been a sham, right? This country was built by a lot of people, from the indigenous folks who were originally here, who assisted in the survivability of the settlers. So absolutely so. And just for those, Bart should really go ahead and pull out a newspaper or something and take a look at what's happening to the bond market right now. What happens in the bond market speaks a lot as far as what people have in confidence in your country. Yeah, and right now it is very scary. And let me tell you what, and this is why I say we need to come from an informed position. As the bond market goes down, we have a whole lot of treasuries that are going to be recycling in for the debt. Donald Trump wants to throw another $7 trillion worth of debt for this tax cut, etc. All of that debt has to be financed. And by the way, a large percentage of our budget goes directly to the interest rate on the debt that we borrow. Rich people who loan America the money that they don't pay in taxes, we go ahead and give them even more money on interest on what they loan back to the United States of America. And when the bond market falls as it is right now, that debt becomes more expensive. At its low point, we were paying 1% in effective interest rates for the loans that we take from people and countries. Right now, it's at 4%. It'll blow the budget. And what Stephanie Ruhle said earlier in that piece that I played, it could bankrupt the country. It is no joke. So when we have the ineptitude of stations that inform people like Bard, and again, I am nice to Bard, etc., but he is informed by propagandists who simply are not giving him the numbers. And, he is, the thing about him, he's willfully fallen for that junk. I don't understand the mentality of many, but it harms us all if we have too many doing that. Thank you, Bruce. Let's go to, I think it's Lester. Come on in, Lester.
Man, Donald Trump, if God be for us, Egberto, who can be against us? Any cat that can take a bullet to the ear and come out of it and say, fight, fight, fight. Any guy who can be convicted on 34 felony counts and come out unscathed. I mean, the man is on a divine mission, in my opinion. I'm not a Trump supporter. I don't think the man should be president, man, but I still believe.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Lester. I really want to ask you this. Aren't there?
Play for the man. Go ahead.
Aren't there thousands of people who got shot and survived? Aren't there thousands of people who've been convicted and beat it? The truth of the matter is there's nothing divine about Donald Trump. I know it is easy. Donald Trump put that narrative out there, right? And it's easy it's easy to adapt that. Wow, this guy's invincible or whatever. But that's not the case. I mean, Donald Trump isn't the only charlatan that America ever had.
Amen.
Yeah, let me finish. I think I gave you your time to talk, brother. But I think it's important for us to take the colored glasses off, because I'm telling you, there's nothing about that bullet whizzing past Donald Trump's head. Let's say it was divine. Would God really go ahead and kill the two people behind him? No. Don't fall for the hogwash. I mean, two people died, or one person died from that bullet that missed him. He was 2 centimeters from getting hit in the head. That's just luck. That's it. There's nothing divine about that.
I'm going to start writing down what I got to say, because I'll be forgetting when you be talking. But mad respect,
go ahead,
y'all.
Go ahead.
He that is without fault, he that is without sin, cast the first stone.
I agree with you.
When I hear you making comments about certain callers, and no disrespect, but the scriptures say, let every man be persuaded in his own mind. Okay, yes. What worked for you, but it don't have to work for me. All I say, and I'm
agree.
I'm through after this. Pray for the man, and I just pray that the guy make right decisions for the whole world. Pray for the guy, Egberto. You're a Christian.
Lester, listen to me, Lester. Listen, this is important. I care about you. Do you believe that, right?
Yeah, you're a good brother.
No, okay, but let me ask you, do you believe that I care about you?
I've never met you, but
I understand.
I believe you care about me. Yeah.
I do. Do you think I care about Bard? I do. Let me tell you where I am coming from. Let me tell you where I'm coming from. If I believe myself to be clear-eyed, and I believe that you may be too nice of a guy and want to give people chances, right? I think you want to give people chances. I do believe that. But here's the problem. If giving people chances means somebody else being harmed, while I follow the tenet of you giving chances, and let's say I can see that clearly, it would be offensive, it would be wrong, it would be immoral of me not to do it. So while I listen to what you have to say and I respect what you have to say, it is imperative that if I see danger for you and others, that I act on that. That's all I'm saying, Lester. So I got, my God, the phone is full. Lester, I got to go, brother. But thank you for calling in. Go ahead. All right, let's go to Brother Ray. Come on in, Ray.
Oh my Jesus, Egberto,
be cool, Ray. Be cool, Ray. Be cool, Ray.
I'm planning on following Mr. Lester, but see, I'm just gonna say this. See, Mr. Lester is the reason I've talked to many people in my own community, and the reason why I refuse to operate in the Christian world, and why I refuse to let that garbage, rhetoric of forgiveness, to horrible people like Donald Trump. Look, I only called in really to say one thing, but Brother Lester, he boiled my eggs for a moment, because all that give him a second chance. He deserves to be divine. He's divine. See, that's the problem with us black people, and I'm tired of hearing it. I'm tired of us black people, and he knew that. Trump knew that by aligning himself with the Christians, that he would have that divine, anointing within the black community of certain people like Lester, and he's a perfect example. But I'm gonna leave on this, and I'm gonna keep it nice though. Trump has had, ever since January 6th, and I'll say this to quote Cat Williams, Trump has between January 6th, all the felonies, the rape charges that he was liable for civilly, he didn't had, he's on his fifth second chance. It's over.
Thank you, Ray.
There's no more. I can't take it. But
thank you, Ray. I'll talk to you at 3. Brother, I'll talk to you at 3. Thank you, my brother. Cheryl Atkins says maintaining poultry is hard work because they can interact with migrating wildfowl. The government wants to divorce itself from all responsibility, just wants money, etc., etc. Cheryl Atkins also says white privilege on the line in totally brainwashed cultists. Cheryl Atkins says $8.5 trillion held by foreign countries, $350 billion by that. They are selling those treasuries, and that is going to be harmful. So we can't wait. We can't just sit back and wait for goodness from evil people. And Glenn Rand says something here. He says, Reagan took a bullet and survived. Several of his cabinets were convicted and then got off. He would have been convicted, but he couldn't recall. Exactly. Let's remember Iran Contra and what came about with that. Let's go to John Garcia. Come on in, John. And I'm going to have to start, limiting to about 2 minutes max. Go ahead, John.
Good morning, Egberto.
Good morning, sir.
About the tariff and this Trump putting a pause on the tariff yesterday for 90 days. The worst that you get from the tariff is uncertainty. And putting 90 days more of uncertainty is terrible. Yesterday night, I was with a group of friends that they work in trading, importing, and exporting. And all the providers are just eliminating all the purchase orders, all the delivery orders, because they don't know. So it's not only what will happen once the trades are in, if they got to be in. It's all the breaks, the stopping of the economy that generates the uncertainty that this policy is causing. And for the United States people, I don't know, but they don't understand really what trades are. It's incredible. So it's a tax, and the policy is very old. It was implemented in Latin America in the 1970s for 20 years, and it didn't work. You are creating a protectionism. You are putting everything more expensive through the tariffs. So the internal companies has more profit, so they can invest in producing locally, because now something that was, for example, $100 now is being sold for $250. So they have more profit incentives to invest to produce locally. But what you are doing is you are increasing the local prices with the tariffs. That's the whole objective. Is creating more profit expectation for the local companies to invest in local production instead of importing. And you do it artificially, increasing the price of the goods by putting an import tariff. So if somebody explains that to the U.S. people, it won't work. It never worked in Latin America. I don't know what they are intending this, and they are destroying the economy by that. And thank you, Egberto. And yesterday, you already said again that the U.S. orchestrated a coup in Venezuela, and it's false. And, you need to give an opportunity to understand better what happened. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John Garcia. I actually have the evidence of the United States actually orchestrating the coup in Venezuela, and it's not just me that is saying that. So I think you can go ahead and watch the documentaries on that with the proof. Betty, come on in, Betty. But I understand, John. Come on in, Betty. All right, we'll get to that. There you go. You're on now, Betty.
Okay. Morning. Eat dirt, Bart. What I can say about Trump, and he pardoned all the crooks he's pardoned, and his cabinet of shame. It's because so he don't look so bad, and you can't make up for what you done wrong. Just live with it and don't do it again. And you had one caller yesterday who said, give him a chance. His long personal record of life proves it. Chances are forever he, same thing. Love y'all. Bye-bye.
Love you, Betty. You take care. And when it comes about giving the man a chance, ask that to the women he's harmed. Ask that to the people who he has stiffed. Ask all of those people that he has harmed whether he needs more chances. I am sorry. He's no, I won't go there. All right, let's go to Donald, line number 2. Come on in, Donald.
Hey, good morning, Egberto. How are you this morning?
Good morning, my brother. Talk to me.
Okay, real fast. It's been a lot of decades since you saw the light, and then you saw the truth. The point I'm about to make, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, they were hoping you'd grow out of this, but you stayed true to yourself. Because the truth was real, but the light was when you saw that preacher man was not going to mess up his shtick and his money and support you with a South African or whatever it was when you were in college, because that's what you believed in. He wasn't going to mess up his free ride. And people have got to look at that. What will these people stand up for? And that's their true nature, not what they're making, because what you were doing was right, but he didn't support you or have the church support you. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, man, I'm touched that you remember that story, Donald. My God, thank you. I am touched. I really am. That you remember that story and you nailed it. Yes, you're right.
You stay true to yourself, and that's why your wife, even as it seems unequally yoked, she still keeps pulling with you. So you carry on and have a good weekend.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you, my brother. You're a good man. Hey, I tell you, MAGA are good folk too, man. Donald is my favorite MAGA. Have a good day, my brother. You take care, okay?
Yes, sir. You too.
All right. Let's go to, I think it's Johnny next. Come on in, Johnny.
Oh, it's a good thing I did not disconnect my phone because the sound went dead as he was saying to you, am I right or wrong? And then it went dead. I know there's something going on with these Republican gremlins at the soundboard at KPFT. Anyway, so Donnie has thin skin. I say, let's exploit that. We should try to force, I don't know how we can do it, but it would be a miracle if we can get media to quit referring to him by that honorific. He doesn't deserve it. He's nothing honorable about him. Just say, Mr. Trump said this, Mr. Trump said that, or Donald Trump said this. Never use the title President Trump, because he loves that. He loves that reinforcement. He needs that. If we deny him that, that's like showing a cross to Dracula. He's got a thin skin. Donald Trump and his fellow Republicans, they can dish it, but they can't take it. They can dish it out, but they can't take it. And by the way, Listerine, please be advised. You are looking through the world through artificial lenses, just like John Garcia does. John and you are fixated on this thing. He's fixated on Venezuela, and just like the Republicans who live in Florida are, they are still angry that their grandparents were kicked out of Cuba because they were plantation owners and such and exploiting the Cuban workers, and they successfully fought for their freedom, a tiny island nation. And Listerine, Donald Trump deserves no additional favors. Egberto has already told you all the reasons why. And if you can't see that, you won't see it, and there's no hope for you. So I say, Listerine, pick up and gargle. Yes, sir.
Let me say something, Johnny. John Garcia, a good guy, and he is, in fact, from Venezuela. And I understand the pain of a lot of Venezuelans who have lost a lot under the revised Hugo Chavez and of course Maduro is. I have no faith in Maduro. I think Maduro is a crook. But I'm also from Latin America, and I understand what has happened in Latin America from not the point of view from the elite or the semi-elite, but from how the system works. And you can have two vantage points when you see things that way. Many people hated Omar Torrijos Herrera, what I call the good dictator of Panama. But what he did is he took the country away from the plutocracy and he rebuilt the entire interior of the nation. And the rest of the Panamanians in that country saw things that they never saw before. Somebody like my mother became a person that was able to get into the Panamanian government for some time, or run for the Panamanian government for some time that would have never occurred under Arnulfo Arias or any of the other plutocracy that ran the country. And then after Omar Torrijos was murdered, the effect of Manuel Antonio Noriega, which, again, I have mixed feelings about Noriega, but the thing about it is this. He was the direct creation of people trying to go against the quote unquote good dictator. But that's for another time. Johnny, I got to move on to Steve and then Brian. So thank you for calling, my brother. Let's go to
Remind John Garcia of how we play politics, how we meddle with politics, not just in Venezuela, but every country. Remind him of what we did to Iran back in the 1950s. Democratic
Moshe Dayan, yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's important because the same kind of things that was done with Moshe Dayan is what was done in Venezuela with the people that
Venezuela right now.
Yes.
We're using CIA money to get people to fight each other in order to make things unstable. We're doing the same thing right now down there. Maduro has become
Johnny, gotta go. Love you. Gotta go. Let's go to Steve.
Hey, good morning, Egberto.
Good morning, sir. How you doing, my brother?
Hey, I'm doing fine, Bob. Hey, I want to say thank you for all of your precious time that you put in for humankind. I can appreciate it. I never call your show, but I listen because you educate the masses. Now, this is the little light that I want to shine on you and let you know about one of your callers. I've been listening to this guy, Lester, and I can't stand listening anymore. For the last 30 years, he called local talk shows with nothing constructive, brother. Absolutely nothing. Tomorrow morning, I will get up and I will go down on the dial and listen to KTSU. He'll be calling in. I used to listen to 1230 AM radio. He calls in with the same nonsense. He just
found religion, by the way, okay? I want you to know who you're dealing with. This is a non-serious guy that calls you a show. I hate that you have to waste your precious time because you're a dedicated person to what you do. This guy craves attention. He loves attention. He's looking for no solution like 1% of your callers that calls into your show and waste your time. You take time away from your family to inform humankind. This guy's an idiot. I'm going to say it plain and simple. I live in Trinity Garden. I hear him complain about the black neighborhood, how he's scared of black folks, a black man. A man, supposedly he say he's 63 years old, and he's talking about giving Donald Trump a chance. What about your Social Security? What about your Medicare and Medicaid, Mr. Lester? You're not going to pray that up. That's not going to help you in it. He's a fraud, brother. That's all I want to tell you.
Thank you for your kind. Thank you for your kind words, Steve.
I will be sending money in and not just talking. Thank you, Egberto.
Thank you so kindly for your kind words, my brother, Steve. You have a wonderful rest of your day, okay?
You too. Appreciate you.
All right. Take care now. All right. Let's go to Brother Brian.
Yeah, first off, y'all need to lay off Lester. He's got an opinion and First Amendment rights, okay? Now, I need to go back to China here a little bit. You got angry and cut me off. Who invaded Tibet? Who bombed Tibet? That was China. You know the Sino-Russian War, 1969? How about the bombing of Vietnam, 1979? Does any of this ring a bell? What are the Chinese doing in the Sino Islands and the Spratly Islands? I think it's Hunan is the southernmost city in mainland China, but yet they're calling their territory 1,500 miles south of that, which is in the Philippine Sea. So yeah, they're doing some bad things, some pretty ugly things, such as bypassing the Panama Canal. So, but you don't think of this. You just think of it as a beautiful country, and you hate on our country. Okay, now if Donald Trump was such a dictator and such a rapist, he wasn't convicted of rape. Okay, it was assault, and that woman is crazy. Now, if he was a dictator, he had power not known until 2001. He had the power to change the nation, and he didn't. He left it up to the states. He didn't take total control as a dictator. He left it up to the states. But you hate the man. And yeah, he should be given a chance because he is the president of the United States of America. He was elected to the highest official office in the land by the people, both forms of government. So why don't you give him a chance?
All right, because he doesn't deserve it. But thank you, Brian, for your words. I made you speak uncontested the entire time, even as what you said. What's that?
You let me speak. You didn't make me speak.
I let you speak. Yes, go ahead. Anyway, thank you very much, Brian. Have a wonderful day. Now, it is amazing how Brian will try to cherry pick, the places that China bomb. He misses the point. I am an American citizen. I love this country, and I intend to make this country better for all of us, and all of us should intend to make this country better for all of us. But in the process of doing that, it means telling some truths. And it doesn't matter what Brian just said. Numbers don't lie. And the comparisons that he made are silly. Because when you talk about what we build and what we bomb and what we hold and the territories that we hold, there's no comparison whatsoever. But again, he had his piece uninterrupted. All right, let's Bard call the second time. I'm curious. Come on in, Bard.
Yes, sir. your show is just Orange Man bad, Biden good, and that's not going to work. Biden had to have tape on the floor with arrows to show him where to walk.
I thought Bard, you would call with something sensible. Move on. Let's move on. No. Move on. Look, I don't normally do this, but I mean, I'm going to take Steve's advice and not let some folks, after give them a chance to come with something factual and something that makes sense, to actually come and do so. Anyway, wow, we got through a lot of calls, and the management of the calls weren't too bad this time around. I guess I may be learning a little bit something here, but I have a couple other videos to play that I can't play because they take too long. That can be found at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. And you can reach me directly. You can talk to me directly by sending an email to kpft@politicsdoneright.com. That is kpft@politicsdoneright.com. I want to throw it to the studio before we close this baby down.
Well, I think they were asking, why don't we give Donald Trump a chance again? This is the same guy who was in office before, botched the COVID response, added to the debt, the national debt, every year he was in office. Why should we give him another chance? Well, first of all, right now, he is the president. That is true. But we don't have to like it, and we don't have to support it. So there you go. Jack, what you got? Jack says nothing. Take it home, Egberto.
Thank you, my brother. I want to salute Alisarum Dreams in the chat from Summerwood. And I also want to salute, I am missing folks here in the chat, but whatever the case is, I want to salute all the folks that I missed in that I missed in the Substack as well. Anyway, folks, don't forget you can actually get to our what we didn't cover on the program at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, and email me directly at kpft@politicsdoneright.com. Love you all. Stay positive. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And guess what? You know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.